Welcome to Truly Missed Podcast. I'm Candace, and each week I'll tell you about underreported missing people of color. About 500,000 people were reported missing last year. As reported by the U.S. Census, nearly 40% of all missing persons are persons of color, yet African Americans only make up 13% of the population. All people of color must be vigilant in reporting crimes and evidence to help bring back loved ones when possible and give closure when it isn't. Today we will discuss Shaniece Harris and later Asha Degree. Shaniece Rose Harris was born on February 2, 1986. She is the second born of 7 children in a blended family. Her mother and sister describe the family as very close. In every article and interview, Shaniece is described as caring and outgoing. Her older sister, Tamika, in an interview on Live with Moochie, said she is the type to get the party started, and also the type to always check to make sure that her loved ones got home safely. Her mother, Elvia Crump, also said she was a kind, helpful, and loving person. From the post on the Facebook group dedicated to her disappearance, no one had an ill will to speak of her. In another interview on Tea Time with Bunky, her sister stated that despite Shaniece having some challenges, she was determined to make an impact on the world. Shaniece may have struggled with depression and anxiety. This is in no way related to her case of her disappearance, just noted in reports. Leading up to her disappearance, she was in regular contact with family and friends. Shaniece was last seen by her girlfriend on May 29, 2017, around 8:20 p.m., leaving her home in Rock Hill, New York, to attend a party at a friend's house. Shaniece called her girlfriend, named Shauna in some sources, around midnight at the party. Later, the unnamed friend would tell investigators that Shaniece left their house with another unnamed, unknown person, and she hadn't been seen since. Shaniece's girlfriend called her sister Tamika around 9:30 a.m. the next morning, explaining that Shaniece hadn't returned home. She also had not called to check on her mother, who was visiting another sister of hers in Florida at the time of the disappearance. Tamika went to the Monticello Police Department to file a missing persons report and was instructed to return in 24 hours. When she returned, she was then asked why she hadn't filed a report sooner. So often, people of color are not taken seriously and are not heard at the first sign of concern. Unfortunately, the way the Monticello PD handled her case may have initially added more injury than aid in finding Shaniece. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5'8", 31 years old, with brown eyes and brown braided hair. She is biracial, Black, and Hispanic. She was last seen wearing a black and gray hoodie with pockets, black sweatpants, and black Nike Air Max sneakers. Her identifying tattoos include Sparks, spelled S-P-A-R-K-Z, a nickname of hers on her right forehand, 2 female symbols linked together on her left forehand, Philippians 4:11 on her right forearm, and in loving memory of Grandma, 1:16:13 on her left forearm. Philippians 4:11 reads, "I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances." This verse seems to ring true to the type of person Shaniece is. On May 31st, her 2007 gray 4-door Volkswagen was found on South Woods Drive in Thompson, New York, less than 5 miles from her home. The area was searched multiple times, resulting in no evidence and no leads. There was no reason determined that would cause her to exit and leave her vehicle on the side of the road of her own volition. Although she did use marijuana, she was not said to be a drug user. She was also not said to be a heavy drinker, and no information was given about her condition at the party. The friend's house she attended has not reached out to the family to provide any information about the potential suspect she was seen leaving with. It is unclear if Shauna, the girlfriend, cooperated with the police or family in this investigation. There are so many cases that have key witnesses that refuse to give up any information. Telling the family who she left the party with could be key. If you were the person she left the party with and you know what happened to her next, that could also be key. If you know why she would have stopped on the side of the road, This could also be the break that this case needs. There were other people, definitely witnesses, if she were at a party. If the nature of the conversation with the girlfriend were made public, this would also lead to some clues as to what may happen after she left that house she attended the party at. Her family and friends have left comments on the Find Shaniece Harris Facebook page that there are people out there that know what happened to Shaniece. The family just wants answers. They work tirelessly to get her story out to as many people as possible. They have held vigils, put up a billboard, offered a cash reward, as well as done countless interviews to encourage anyone with any information to speak up. They have also partnered with Domingo Ramos, the founder of Hope Alive 845, a missing persons organization. He also started a petition to introduce the Shaniece Harris Act, which would give the family the opportunity to request a full report from investigating law enforcement agencies and have it verified by the agency of their choice. Have law enforcement enlist the help of outside verified agencies to assist with a missing person's safe return, and to report the actual missing person to the appropriate agency. Please note, you do not have to wait 24 hours to file a police report. If you are at a police station, insist on filing a report right away. A lot of people don't know that there is no 24-hour rule. That is not law. In short, it's just bad police work. This is a thought process used to ease parents of runaways. It is really a waste of valuable time if there is a real emergency. 24 hours went by before anyone was looking for Shaniece. 48 hours went by before her car was located. According to Ramos, it takes weeks for a response from this particular police department. Being that Shaniece was 31 and not a teen runaway, Tamika's concern for her sister should have been acted on immediately the first time she went to the police station. Keep in mind, police are not personally connected to your missing loved one, so they do not always heed the concern or urgency that could be the difference between finding something valuable or losing evidence and leads. Hold the police accountable to uphold their duty to serve and protect, especially in diverse and high crime areas such as Rock Hill, New York. Unfortunately, this case leaves me more questions than answers. What condition was her car when it was found? Were her keys in the car with her? What did her and her girlfriend talk about? Did any information come from her phone records of who she may have spoken to last? I don't want to speculate on what happened because honestly, I don't know. There just isn't enough information to draw a concrete conclusion. Without access to a full police report and more evidence, I will say I don't think she walked away voluntarily. My best conclusion is she offered someone a ride at the party, being the kind person that she is, and it didn't go well. But what happened or where she is, only the people at that party and Shaniece will know. There isn't really much more information on this case as of today, which is why it is important to keep cases like this alive, to keep memories of loved ones alive. Anyone with information about Shaniece Harris or what may have happened to her is asked to contact the FBI at the New York office at 212-384-1000. You may also contact your local FBI office, the nearest American embassy or consulate, and you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. Tips can be anonymous. If you know anything, please say something. When we return from our commercial break, we will discuss Asha Degree. Now let's take a look at Asha Degree. Asha Jaquilla Degree was born August 5th, 1990 to Harold and Iquilla Degree. She has an older brother named O'Brien. The family lived in Shelby, North Carolina. She was involved in school sports as well as church activities. She was a shy, good kid, her parents said in the Jet interview. She has a huge smile and big bright eyes. The family seems like a normal working-class family, very close-knit. On February 12, 2000, Asha played her first basketball game of the new season. She fouled out in this game, and her team lost by 1 point. For a short time, she was inconsolable. Asha was always very competitive and felt that she had let her team down. After a while, she was back to her usual happy self. On February 13th, 2000, the family attended church and had family time with relatives. They returned home and the children were put to bed around 8 p.m. in a shared bedroom. Around 9 p.m., the power went out and came back on around 12:30 a.m., at which time both Asha and O'Brien were asleep. Harold checked on the children twice before going to bed around 2:30 a.m. Shortly after Harold's last check, O'Brien hears Asha's bed move and assumes she was just getting comfortable to get back to sleep. She was actually gathering a backpack with some clothes and personal items to leave her house. At the time, she was only 9 years old. Sometime between 2:30 a.m. and 4:15 a.m., Asha allegedly leaves her bed of her own accord. It's initially speculated by her family that she may have left because she was still upset about her basketball game. So she takes a bag that the police later believed to have been previously packed, leaves home, and heads towards Highway 18 on foot about a mile away. There were reportedly no signs of forced entry. A truck driver allegedly spots Asha walking along Highway 18 wearing a long-sleeve white tee and white pants. The trucker circles a few times, wondering why such a young child is walking around alone on a highway in a storm in February. The driver then states that she ran into the woods, never to be seen again after she notices him circling her. She was also seen by another driver around the same time. Both drivers are not considered suspects, but credible witnesses. Around 5:45 a.m., Aquila goes to awake the children for school and finds that Asha is not in her bed. She alerts Harold, who considers that she may be at her grandmother's nearby. Once it is discovered that she is not there, the police are called around 6:30 a.m. Harold tells 911 that he went to wake her for school and she wasn't there, and that her brother had not heard or seen her leave. There are some discrepancies in the stories, but considering how short of a time window it was when Asha went missing, it's possible that there was just some confusion. The family was cleared early on in the investigation. Police arrive at 6:40 a.m. to the Degree home. The police dogs cannot pick up her scent, and no evidence is found to where she may have gone. Aquila also noted that her daughter did not take any of her winter clothing with her. Police, friends, families, neighbors, and church members assembled to begin searching for Asha that resulted in over 9,000 collected search hours. News coverage is what led both truck drivers to notify the police that they saw Asha on Highway 18. These tips led police to a shed where some of her belongings and candy wrappers were later found. A photo of a girl around Asha's age was also found, but no other evidence. She was added to the missing children's database and considered a special case with special circumstances. The case is confirmed. The photo is confirmed to not be of Asha. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children notes that most runaways are at least 12. Asha was only 9 and by all accounts came from a loving and caring home, which makes her leaving even more bizarre. Over a year later, on August 3rd, 2001, her backpack, double wrapped in plastic bags, was found at a construction site off Highway 18 in Burke County, 26 miles north of Shelby. Remember, initially when she was spotted, she was headed south. Her backpack contained a book from her school library and a New Kids on the Block t-shirt, neither of which are said to belong to her. It also contained overalls, her favorite jeans, a vest including 2 shirts, and a basketball uniform. This information is not made public until almost 18 years later. It is widely speculated by law enforcement profilers that the way her bag was packed indicated that level of thinking would be of an adult or an older person, not of a 9-year-old. It is also further speculated that she may have been groomed and given instructions on how and when to leave her home, only to be met with foul play. The family did not own cell phones or have a computer or internet service at the time. The family had limited interaction with people outside of their regular activities. So, for young Asha, if she was met with foul play, it is likely an employee of her school or possibly a member of her church, as those are the only places that she really went other than with family or at home. It is also theorized that possibly a car picked her up near her home, which is why the dogs were not able to pick up on her scent. In 2004, an inmate falsely admitted to knowing where she was buried, and a search only turned up animal bones. In 2008, her family started a scholarship in her name. They also host an annual walk in Asha's honor to continue to bring awareness to her case, as well as raise funds to continue her search. In a 2013 interview, Aquila expressed her frustration with her daughter's case not receiving as much attention as missing white children have received. This mother's pain is exactly why I decided to start this podcast. No mother should feel like her child doesn't matter. Children of color go missing so regularly, and the majority of these cases never even make national news. Maybe someone hears this case or one of these episodes and comes forward with some kinds of information to bring closure. As of 2015, the FBI offered $25,000 for any information leading to real answers in this case. In 2016, the FBI released that Asha may have gotten into a dark green 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV or Thunderbird of the same year with rusted wheels along Highway 18 where she was spotted that night. As of 2017, over 300 interviews were conducted. In 2018 is when the contents of her backpack were revealed. In 2020, another inmate falsely claimed to know where to find her. Do not intentionally give police false information when they are looking for someone. It wastes valuable resources. Imagine someone looking for you and false information leads the police further away from you instead of closer. Missing persons is no joke, and the clock ticks faster when you don't even know where to start looking. 24 hours can be the difference between an abductee being found halfway across the country in a traumatic situation or worse. Social media and the constant flood of news has altered how we operate as humans. Compassion is and has always been undervalued. Asha is 31 now and has been missing for 22 years. Age progression photos have been released of what she would look like today. Aquila told North Carolina's WBTV, "This is worse than death, because at least with death you have closure. You have a gravesite or you have an urn at home. But for us, we can't mourn. We can't give up. The only thing we got is hope." If you have any information concerning Asha's disappearance, please contact the FBI Charlotte office at 704-672-6100 or your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy or consulate. The field office for this case is Charlotte. Truly Miss will be back next week with another case for you. You can follow us on Instagram at trulymissedpodcast or send us an email at trulymissedpodcast@gmail.com. If you have a story that you would like shared on this podcast, please email or DM us. We focus on people of color as those stories don't get as much coverage. Hopefully we can build a community one listener at a time. All resources are listed in the show notes. The petition to make Shaniece Harris Act law is also listed in the show notes. It only takes a few seconds to sign it. Please help this family and other families get one step closer to bringing their loved one home. Their loved ones are truly missed.